Welcome to Haunted Homebodies, where Halloween isn't just a day, it's a lifestyle. I'm Ashley.
And I'm Sara, and we're your guides through the delightfully dark corners of comfort horror.
So this episode marks our 1-year podcast anniversary!
That is so exciting.
Yes. And you were saying how many weeks have we had off in this whole year of podcasting?
I said 6 weeks. Maybe we should have like 6 to 8 weeks. Something like that.
At most 2 months. So this will now be like 10th or so episode back at least.
Yeah, because we did like 8 just about scream.
I know. So my mom, shout out Kimmy again, came over earlier today and was like, so when are you and Sara going to start podcasting again? When will you be releasing episodes? And I was like, girl, we were like going to put out like 8 episodes.
Just wait. Oh my God, she's going to have such a backlog to go through.
She's like, I didn't get a notification. And I was like, well, where would you get notifications from? Like, I don't know what do you mean? She's like, well, where are you posting them now? And I was like, well, she's like, I remember you being mad at Spotify. And I was like, yeah, so we're now hosted by Substack, but you can still listen on Spotify. We're still there. And she's like, oh, okay. I was like, wow. And then so she asked my dad, and she's like, did you know that they were releasing again? He's like, no, I think the last one I listened to was the one that they recorded in our basement. And I was like, Scooby-Doo?
He just stopped listening after that one because that one was so bad. That's what it was.
I consistently say on our podcast that you two are both fans. I'm going to have to take it back.
I thought she'd be listening every week.
I know. I had no idea. She's so behind. But
wow.
She was telling me that she hasn't watched The Shining yet. So hopefully for our podcast, she'll watch it now, so she can listen, but we'll see. But she's like, I still do, like you were saying last week about it being so iconic that you just know. And she's like, I still make jokes about like referencing The Shining.
She would like recognize every reference we made in there.
That's so true. You don't really need to watch it.
No.
You'll get the idea. But I thought that was so funny. I was like, oh, you guys are cute. You've got 8 weeks to catch up on.
I love it a lot.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, 1 year of Haunted Homebodies. That's so exciting.
Which doesn't count the podcast we had before that or the podcast we had before that. We've been doing this a little while.
We're almost like seasoned.
I think maybe we might be seasoned.
I did listen to our earlier episodes. This is now, let's see, episode 45, which is wild.
Wow.
Like we're officially like, they say that most podcasts never make it past 7 episodes. And
yes,
that was almost true for us twice.
It is true, but this one's stuck.
Yes, when you like have something and you enjoy it and it's like working for you. You can just keep going. And 45 deep, which is that's a lot.
Actually, that is 45 episodes, which is mostly movies watched, some episodes of TV, some intense research, prep for those episodes, editing those episodes, every week coming out except our little winter hiatus.
Which is so funny because like we don't have any time.
I also left out recording. I know.
I like moved 3 states away. I have a 2-year-old. You've changed jobs.
It's amazing.
Yeah, I can't believe we're still here, but hopefully I
have
continue.
Changed jobs twice since we
2
started
times.
this
Excuse
podcast.
me. Sorry.
Twice.
That's so
sorry.
true.
That was just a life reflection.
Yeah. We're like, wow. I know.
What
and
a
I'm
year.
like, I think I've only moved 1 time, but technically 2 because I was in hiatus, so I had to move out of Maine, and then was just in limbo, and
it's
then
true.
moved.
Nope, you moved twice. You moved twice during this podcast.
Oh boy. Well, we're doing great. And for our 1-year anniversary, we're talking about a movie that I personally love. I actually am not sure if you even like it or had seen it before this, which is Misery.
Love that you read so much into the volume of notes I write or don't write in our shared document.
And the content though.
This one I may have had. Yeah. I'm not giving my thoughts away yet.
Okay. All right.
But I will be very curious. This is very surprising to me that you feel so strongly about this movie. So actually, I really can't wait to hear.
Yeah. There's a lot of lore with me in this movie.
Okay, great.
And I have alluded to it, I think, before. So yeah, once again, just like the Twilight episode, people are going to get to know me a little better and maybe be concerned. who I am as a person.
I'm very excited.
Yeah. You're never concerned. You're just like, this tracks. This tracks.
I've known you for more than 30 years, so
it's gonna be fine. Do you want to intro the movie before we divulge all my secrets?
Would love to. Misery was released on November 30th, 1990, and just like The Shining, it was based on a novel released by Stephen King 3 years earlier. So this one was 1987. They are like, he was just identified early on as like, oh, we're gonna take his books and turn them into movies. Great.
3 years later, so many of his books have been adapted. It's like actually absurd.
At least once.
Yeah. That's true. Movies, like limited series, so many of them. Remakes,
yeah. Like there's true. Obviously it is everywhere.
Yeah,
but I feel like they just I was gonna say it's The Stand, but I feel like Salem's Lot had like an old movie, but now a new show. Anyway, there's so much, multiple Carrie movies. Constant Stephen King content.
Yes. So it was bound to make its way onto our podcast.
Yes, Stephen King is a money maker.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but unlike The Shining, Stephen King is actually a fan of this adaptation of his book. We talked last week about why he didn't really love The Shining movie.
Yeah, but this one, I think he just felt it held pretty true to the story. And I have read the book, and there are a few changes, of course, as there always are. But I think he felt that it held true to the characters, which I think is the most important thing for him, is that like the actors and performances kind of follow along, I think, with his vision for the characterization.
Do you think that is especially important to him when his main characters are writers? And which I found so interesting, right? So like The Shining, the main villain is a writer, and he didn't like that like the villain was not portrayed in a very nuanced way, which
too villainy.
Agree with, because that made it boring. But then here he's got his, protagonist writer.
Right. Which happens a lot in his stories. Go figure. And I love it because I also am a writer and just really enjoy that about any story, which we'll definitely discuss ad nauseum in this episode. But I think that is definitely a huge part of it, that each of these characters kind of represent a piece of himself, and like himself as a writer and his journey as a writer. So I think he wrote Paul Sheldon to represent kind of his feelings of being kind of pigeonholed and like fan service, like that kind of feeling. And like when you become he obviously became like a genre writer. He's known for horror, and he's written outside of that. He's written fantasy. He's written kind of like crime, thrillers,
whatever 11/22/63 was.
Exactly, like things that are just not purely horror, but like if you hear Stephen King, like you think horror, like that's the king of horror. That's always going to be kind of the association. And so like Paul Sheldon's character is, obviously feeling some kind of way about his Misery novels, and then also just this goes into the whole like fandom thing and how that can be kind of problematic. And as a writer, like you are nothing without readers, right? You write books for people to read them, but some people who read them are a little too invested in the story, you might say.
There is something about this, and maybe this is planned to be talked about later, but there is something about this that is not unlike some of the themes in Scream.
Yes,
as a franchise as a whole.
That is a talking point that we will get into, because we both thought that the motives were similar to different Scream movies.
Ooh, interesting.
I think is really funny.
Love it. Okay, great.
Saw yours, and I was like, before I even saw it, I was like, oh, I thought about a different Scream. So we're going to obviously talk about Scream.
Coded.
Totally. Which I'm sure some big Stephen King fan is out there like, oh God, seriously.
Unsubscribe.
Yeah, go for it. See you later, buddy. Oh man. So just to put a pin on our little intro, Misery is rated 7.8 out of 10 on IMDb. On Rotten Tomatoes, we've got a 90% audience score and an 86% for critics. So both of these movies are just well liked and well received. Misery is definitely considered to be a good movie, I would just say, like in general, but it doesn't have like the fame and I don't know, like reverence. I don't even know how to describe like what The Shining has, but The Shining is definitely revered more than this movie.
I mean, I do think that Misery is like out there in the pop culture lexicon, but like really only the hobbling scene.
Yeah.
As someone who has not ever seen this movie before, like I knew about that. And I was telling Evan I was watching it, and he's like, "What is that one about?" And I told him about that. He goes, "Oh yeah."
Yeah. That one's tough. This is I actually watched another movie today that is not horror at all, but I'd only seen on cable, and I was like, I love this movie. And then when you watch it like not on cable for the first time, and there's a few scenes where you're like, this is too many boobies.
What movie?
Oh god. So it was Working Girl, which is old. It's like, what is his name? I'm not going to remember the names, but without pulling it up.
It's okay. It's not that important. This feels very unthemed to our podcast.
Yeah, no, it has nothing.
Yeah, okay. That's fine.
Cut the tape. I'm like, I can't bring it back to our themes at all, aside from it just being like, I feel like this is one of those movies where if you had seen it on cable, like that, that cut to that one particular part where you actually see his foot go swoop.
Yeah.
You don't get to see
like,
that.
I did think it was going to be like a much more significant part of the movie, and it's not. It's like almost at the end.
Oh,
like it's like a pretty quick scene, and it's like super fucked up, but
for sure. I think this movie is so interesting, but like before we get into it, I have to reveal my first watch and first experiences, because this is something that we talk about on the podcast frequently, and frequently I have fairly distinct memories because I've just been a cozy horror fan for a few years. You're still like a baby just recently hatched out of the cozy horror egg. So a lot of these movies, this one included, like you've seen for the first time, and so you're kind of still developing like your vibe, what you like, what you don't like. I would say this is a movie that I have loved for a long time. And I have to tell you, the first time I watched it, I was knowing the gist of it, right? Like, we know that Annie Wilkes is unwell. We know that she is like a stalker, violent fan. It's established pretty early on in the movie that she is unhinged to a degree. But she is holding him captive and she is forcing him to write. And the feeling that this evoked for me was jealousy.
Of him being held captive
and being forced to write.
Sure, yeah, okay.
Yep.
That feels right.
Yeah. I was like, oh, I want to be there by that window.
Okay. All right.
Typing. This was during a point in my life where I was pretending. I was like, I'm not a writer. It's not my thing. I don't need to do that. It's not important. I have to get a real job. And it's still kind of how I am. But now I at least like accept that writing is like a part of my life and something that I want to pursue, even if it's like on the side. It's like important to me and it's like part of who I am. But at that point, I just was like, no, I just don't write. I didn't read. I didn't write. It wasn't anything. So I watched this movie and I was like, oh, I want to be Paul Sheldon. That is so toxic. He's being like held hostage, psychologically tormented. Like every bone in his body is broken at the beginning of the movie. I'm like, he just gets to sit quietly and has nothing else to do besides look out at the snow and like write his story. Or die, like be violently murdered. I mean, there's a lot that he goes through, this is another harrowing Snowbound tale.
So interesting to me that like this is what you're drawn to, and you're not like, I wish I was Jack Torrance in The Shining, who made his own choice to be there to intentionally write. You were like, somebody needs to do this for me and to me.
Oh God, I should unpack that somewhere. No, that's a good point. I like don't even have like the amount of ownership over my own life to just be like, I could just go on a retreat and do this. I'm like, no, I need permission, apparently.
No, it's not permission. You need someone else to hold you accountable. I get it.
Accountable is a less violent word. Yeah, I like that. I just need an accountability buddy. If anyone needs a writing group, hit me up because I need more writing friends. And Sarah, I have convinced you to podcast with me, but you have yet to turn into a writer. So
we are still separate humans. We share many interests, but not all of them.
That's true. Yeah. One of these
days. I don't know. Give me a typewriter and that could change everything.
We'll see. A cozy fireplace, a typewriter, a snowy window. I don't know what you're capable of.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, man. All right. I'm glad I got that off my chest. I do acknowledge that I don't actually want to be in this situation. I just want to write,
like,
okay?
Kind of.
A little. Yeah. Parts of it.
I mean, don't we all, like, wish that, like, sick days were still, like, a real thing? Yeah. You'd be like, I could be sick right now if it meant I didn't have to work. Or, like, you know, it's the same vibe.
Same vibe. There's just so often, I think, when we get to this point in our life where we have these, like, all of this wonderful, like, full richness to our lives, but also that comes with, like, you can't just put that to the side and not have the wonderful full richness for a little while. It's like there's no trade-off here. It's like we just have to keep going. We have to keep paying our bills. We have to keep caring for our families, and it's just
the
that
real
idea
of misery.
You just need to have, like, both. Like, this is my version of, like, wanting my cake and eating it too. Like, I want to have this beautiful home that I care for, this family that I love so much, and then I also want to simultaneously just have, like, a week plus a month to just shut myself alone in, like, a cabin in the woods and just, like, be able to just rest and be quiet and maybe be creative and read books, write books, just
the magic of that.
Yeah, nobody's buzzing on our little phones. No one's, like, sending us aggro work emails. God, that'd be so nice. Anywho,
just want to sit in that for a second.
Yeah, we're like, wow. So okay, so obviously for me, I found this movie extremely cozy. We're in our snowbound theme, and I just have to say the snowbound theme is, like, wonderful. I'm just loving it.
Can I just also say that this is unsurprising because you are the major creative force behind the podcast and, like, planning force behind the podcast, but our snowbound theme is really a writing during snowing scenes.
Yeah,
we've got The Shining, we've got Misery, and we've got Murder, She Wrote. It's literally
so
in the title
funny.
of one of them.
I am so, like, I think, like, I'm complex, and then someone calls me out and they're like, all you talk about is, like, writing and, like, where you want to be writing. This is, like, my therapist once was like, I just want to point something out to you. I don't know if you've noticed it, but every single session we've had for the past 12 weeks, you've mentioned writing. It was like something like that. And I'm like, oh. She's like, yeah, 12 out of 12 times. She's like, maybe you should, like, look into that and consider doing it a little bit.
Did you tell her how you felt about Misery?
No, she
I'm
couldn't
sure
handle the
she
truth.
would want to dive into that.
No. That's not a year 1 therapy. That's like a year 6 therapy.
That's fair. That's
or
fair.
Just, like, out into the world in a podcast with your bestie thing.
It's probably more healing.
Yeah. Oh, you know, it's all good. I probably did, honestly. I don't hold much back. I'm a pretty open book over here. But also, I think you mentioned this. You brought this to my attention that Misery was filmed in part near the Donner Pass.
Yes, where
he's driving, I think, right? It's, like, right around there. So, like,
I don't actually know what part it is. I believe you. Makes sense.
This cohesive, I don't know if it was when he was driving or the sheriff was driving, but when someone's driving, it's right around that area, which is so fun that we just kind of, like, stumbled into this extremely cohesive theme.
Yes, and I mean, they got a lot of snow. They got so much snow it covered his car on the side of the road.
Yes, it was snowbound indeed. Obviously, we know by now I've created a whole theme about it. I love the wintery scenes as well as, like, the writing ritual and retreat. Yeah. I will say there is, like, a whole montage of this though where he is writing, he's getting into, like, the creative flow, like, while being held hostage, and is, like, banging out this book, like, under duress, but he's, like, nailing it. And at the same time, Annie is reading the manuscript by the fire with her pet pig, so cozy, even if she's a psycho.
I
like,
love
clinically.
The pig.
And then they're, like, also flipping back and forth between that, and then, like, the seasons changing, the snow falling, turning to rain, and then the cute little sweet sheriff is reading, like, throughout this too. He's reading the Paul Sheldon books to kind of, like, try to figure out anything. He just, like, doesn't have much to do. So he's like, I gotta at least figure out this one case. And it is so sweet and cozy.
Yes.
And you like kind of forget for a minute that this is like some psycho holding a man hostage and he's fighting for his life. It's just like so funny.
I'm not sure I felt that way, but I understand why you did, because you need to.
But also it's like it's the way it's presented. If you look at it, like I've seen this movie a lot of times, and so like I've said before, like I watch it through a different lens when I'm watching it for the podcast because I'm kind of analyzing it, right? Or watching it more closely. And this whole scene, there's no darkness. Like it is a few minutes of like just this like jaunty music, and he's like writing, and she's like cozy sitting with her pig by the fire. It's like literally so cozy. And if you just kind of like watched that completely out of context, you would have no idea that this was a horror movie.
That's fair.
And that he was like being held hostage and extremely traumatized by and physically harmed by this woman. I have to say also that Annie's farm in general, they do so many just shots, like wide shots of the farm, of her house, just with the snow. It's like extremely picturesque. It's something that I'm like,
it's beautiful.
They're doing this on purpose, right? Like, this isn't just me being weird and, like, being into weird things. Like, I literally think they're trying to make this movie, like, extremely cozy.
I mean, it is. Like, the like, a tiny little downtown area is super cute.
Yes.
I know we're going to talk about the sheriff more, but, like, his whole, like, the sheriff's, like, office is cute.
Yes.
It's
yeah, let's just talk about the sheriff. Yes. I mean, he is the coziest part of the movie. Him and
He's
his
the
wife.
best part of the movie. His wife, who I recognized immediately, and I was like, where do I recognize her from? And I couldn't figure it out. Did you look it up? Yeah. Yeah.
What do you know her from?
I know her as Bunny McDougal from Sex and the City, where she plays Kyle MacLachlan's mom. So, like, full circle to another.
That's so funny. And I was like, oh, she was really, like, her and Trey, Kyle MacLachlan's character, are awful. Like,
they're so terrible. But she was so sweet in this one.
Yes.
Their dynamic was adorable.
Adorable. They were so cute together. They were just like the perfect like older couple. And like their style, like they were always wearing like cozy sweaters. And I just loved them so much. They were adorable. I also put in here the two of them seem like they could do a Twin Peaks spinoff.
Oh, I
like,
love
don't you feel like they could be in some sort? There could be some sort of crossover episode.
Pete Martell vibes.
Yes, like if Pete Martell like joined the force.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. This is like an alternate like metaverse kind of crossover,
I'm so
right?
into it. Yes.
Oh, I love them. Yes, we already mentioned Misery the pig. She's just adorable.
Yes.
Adorable. I feel like there might be some like gross stuff in the book with the pigs, but I can't remember. So glad they left that out. I also enjoyed, because of the writerly things in this movie, I liked the kind of snippets of like New York City and like 80s publishing moments.
Yeah.
I always love like a New York moment and like a just, you know, we've hit it big. Like she's got his meetings with his agent, and she's got posters of his book around.
Played by like an absolute Hollywood legend.
Really?
Lauren Bacall. Yeah.
What is she in?
So she was, hold on, let's do this.
She was great for such a small role. I was like, oh, she's like really like polished. Seems like a really polished choice for this like very small bookend kind of role.
So like at the very beginning of the movie, she it like in the credits, the opening credits. Whew.
Yeah.
My brain works.
We know what
it says like with a special appearance by Lauren Bacall.
Okay.
Like she is, So she was named the 20th greatest female star of classic Hollywood cinema.
Okay.
I think she was married to Humphrey Bogart at one point. So she was around, like she was like big in the 40s. But yeah, she was a big deal. She was in The Big Sleep, How to Marry a Millionaire, Murder on the Orient Express.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so nothing that like maybe Murder on the Orient Express I would watch at some point, but no, that's really cool. And it's also an interesting thing about this movie is there just like aren't that many characters. Like almost the entire movie is Annie Wilkes and Paul Sheldon.
Yes.
And that's it. Like one of them, both of them. There's a couple scenes with the sheriff and his wife, and there's a couple scenes with her, the agent. That's pretty much it. That's it.
Yeah.
It's such a small cast, which I think shows that like for this not to be a boring movie with like just a few people just hanging out in like one single house. It's pretty impressive.
Also very similar to The Shining.
Yes, very true.
Yeah.
This is a totally like different flavor of like the same story.
Kind of.
Right? It's just like a few things twisted on its head.
Similarities.
Yeah, there's zero paranormal elements in this
very different directors though. So The Shining directed by Stanley Kubrick, Misery directed by Rob Reiner.
I know. Oh, R.I.P. But I was looking up his list because I knew that he was the director of this, and I was like, but like he's also in like this, like it's so random what he's done. It's so random when you look it up. It's like, what was his thing? You know,
he was all over the place.
All over the place. Good movies. Yeah. There was nothing that was like oof, but like totally random.
Yes.
I think he did a fantastic job. This movie is just like extremely well done. In my opinion, in my humble opinion, I'm a fan. I'm fangirling a little bit. I found Annie's house to be cozy, which I think also maybe is troubling. But her decor, even the way I mentioned in the last week's episode, the way she dressed, I kind of like. I also like how she repeatedly uses the word heavens to Betsy. I think Annie Wilkes could arguably be like a comfort villain to me if I were to believe in the concept.
Interesting.
I don't stand by anything she did, but
okay.
She is, I think, pretty complex. She is not like Jack Torrance. She's not one note.
No.
And that is very obvious throughout the whole movie. And something I think that's really interesting is like this whole cat and mouse thing they do where they like one of them's playing the other one and like sometimes they know that they're being played and some, you know what I mean? And like, obviously Paul is being much more deliberate and Annie Wilkes is just like mentally ill.
Well, she's just like up and down all the time, which I thought was the most interesting part of her character, that she has these like moments of like almost self-reflection.
Yes.
Plus there's like the scene when it's raining and she's like the most self-reflective, but like even like her being like, oh, I know it's my temper that's why I'm alone and things like that. And that I thought that was interesting rather than just like up and down and up and down. Like she like acknowledges it.
Totally. And there also is the show Castle Rock. Have you heard of that?
I've heard of it. I have not seen it.
Okay, so I watched it and not recently enough to really be able to comment on it accurately, but I do know that she is like the main character, but it's a prequel.
Oh.
So it's like her backstory.
I mean, she's got a dark backstory.
Yeah.
How did she get out of prison? I don't understand that.
Oh, anyway, I don't remember that. But yeah, that they totally glaze over that. I don't know that any of that is in the book. Yeah, like the whole like killer nurse thing, I think was just in the movie. I'm trying to remember because it also has been a long time since I read the book. That's not true. I think I read it like 2 years ago. Anyway, read a lot of books since then. But I don't even know if that seemed like kind of, it was just like thrown in there for a little like extra sauce, like as if like we needed to feel like she was more deranged. Like, no, we get it.
We got it. It could have just been this one time or like establish a pattern that like she killed her husband. But...
Yes. So I feel like the story in Castle Rock, from what I remember, made her much more like sympathetic and built up to like, I feel like her first murder, from what I recall, was like self-defense-ish. I wish I could remember this, but it was definitely like very like made you more like think about like what had brought her to this moment rather than in the movie it's just like, oh, so she's just this like horrible person who is like true evil and, you know, just at times can cover it up. But like I feel like it was more like I view it more as like a, like you said, like it's like that up and down and you can like almost see, you know, like whatever in her brain chemistry is not working. It is like, you know, you can see that coming in and out. And we've had this discussion before where I really don't like the like mental illness equals violent criminal. But I feel like this movie didn't do that. Like you could argue that it does, right? Because she is clearly mentally ill, and I don't think they establish like a specific diagnosis, but like I don't think you can watch that movie and be like, that is a sane woman.
Yes.
But I feel like they don't make her out to just be like, oh, she's just this like evil, awful person. You can see the struggle. You can see like that she doesn't even like endorse her own behavior and is like trying to do better and then like can't control it. But I feel like it does bring up that interesting discussion of like, there is like the Venn diagram, right, of like mental illness, and then there's the Venn diagram of like violent criminals, and like there is overlap. Like mental illness does not make you a violent criminal, but with other circumstances and then like other ethical, moral issues, and like nature versus nurture, all that stuff, then like there are the people who have mental illness who then become violent criminals in like because like it, not because of it, but you know what I'm trying to say.
I'm following. You
know what I'm saying, though? It's like that creates this like perfect storm of like pushing them in that direction where they no longer can control. Like maybe they could have controlled those impulses, or they could have had the wherewithal to be like, I'm having these thoughts. Maybe I should go talk to someone, or maybe I need a medication, or like, I don't know, this isn't okay. Whereas, you know, it gets too far and then bad things happen, like holding your favorite author hostage and breaking his legs deliberately. Yeah. In the book, she cuts off his leg. I don't know if that would have been better or worse for the movie. The hobbling was completely unique to the movie.
Interesting.
Yeah,
but I felt like that was a good choice.
Yeah, so he comes. The same thing, I think she discovers that he's been able to kind of like get around, or either that or he's just like healing and is like soon going to be mobile, and she's like, what do I do about this?
Right.
And so I think she had been drugging him more in the book. I feel like she was kind of like keeping him sedated more.
Okay.
I wish I remembered things before I talked about
this is like me talking about Dr. Sleep last week.
Yeah. I really feel like the experience of reading the book and then also watching Castle Rock completely shapes my perception of the movie now, but I can't remember specifically why.
That's okay. We're just talking about the movie today. We're just talking about the movie.
If only I could compartmentalize, right? Did you find this movie to be cozy as well?
I did not.
Not at all?
I found the sheriff and his wife
to be cozy.
That was it.
That was it? Yeah. Not the like the snowy scene, the farm.
No. Like I could see it. I mean, the town was cozy, I guess, but like I just like had such a feeling of like, I think like the claustrophobia, like that was like overwhelming to me.
Oh,
it was like
Did you find this movie to be scary?
I wouldn't say scary either. It was like an uncomfortable feeling the whole movie for me.
Yeah, it's definitely intense. I do remember, like I said, I'm pretty familiar with this movie now. Like the scenes where he has like left the room and then there's like that tension of like she's coming back and he has to like get back, and he's moving so slow because he's not only snowbound but he is like injury bound. He is so severely immobile. No, and they look brutal when you first see his legs after the car accident. I don't know how they created those prosthetics, but that was some very good work because they looked messed up. But yes, this was a very claustrophobic movie and very dark. Like I think she's so unpredictable that you don't know what's coming next. Like I knew what was coming next because I've seen this movie so much, but I can see like a first time watch, it's just like you don't know like if, and that was like how he felt. Like he didn't know if she's gonna come in the room and be like, hey, how are you? Like blowing him kisses and giving him gifts and medicine and setting him up with a typewriter, if she was going to come in like wielding a sledgehammer or a knife and threatening him, or just like flinging a gun around. Like it's a little doohickey.
Yeah, which is kind of the whole point of her character. Yeah, she does a good job.
She does. She is very... I've seen her in other things, and I think she's a great actress, but I was like, I think this was like your role. You know, like in terms of like people just can nail like a certain part. I feel like she just stepped into that role and was just like, I got it. I know exactly what to do. She could like give that variety, and
I was curious if she was like a big deal before this or not.
I don't remember. Okay, so I once again have to mention in the realm of like things that are not so cozy about this movie and like too dark and really upsetting, aside from the hobbling, that is really rough. Especially as a first timer, so apologies about that. But once again, just like in The Shining, we have the coziest character. He comes over and is so abruptly killed, and he is like dead right away. There is no question. And it is so upsetting to me. Like,
it's so unnecessary.
Yes.
Just like we talked about last week, like he could have just been knocked out and that would have been like just as detrimental to Paul. But instead, he's killed.
Yeah.
In a second before he's done anything to actually help.
Right. Yeah, I don't like it. There's so many other ways he could have done it. It like also I'm the kind of person where it just deeply upsets me because, as we know, I like immerse myself in movies. You've already heard this from me many times. And so like I am like thinking about these as like real people, and so I care about the characters. I'm able to acknowledge that they are not real people, okay? I'm not one of those people who is like think they're my friends or whatever. But when he is killed, all I can think about is his wife and how he's not going to be able to go home to Virginia, and like Virginia is going to be like she is going to be one of those spouses who like dies a week later from like heartbreak.
Well, her whole life is him. She works at the sheriff's. It's an office. What do you call it? Sheriff's.
I don't.
Whatever.
Station. Well, I don't know. It was like a cozy
which
little
is like
nook.
his deputy sheriff. Like that's like he is her whole life, and vice versa. Like so that was terrible.
Yes, and that is what I hate about Stephen King books and adaptations, and like I know it's more blatant in the movie, but just like the unceremonious, like he just dies and that's it. That is the last we hear about them. Like we've gotten to know them, we've gotten to love them throughout the movie, and he is just figures it out, is killed, and that's it.
The real world is terrible enough. Like, give us small wins.
Yes.
In fiction, please.
Totally.
Please.
I just also another spoiler alert for the book. In the movie, when the police, it wasn't that same character, but the police comes and figures it out, she runs him over with a lawnmower in the book to kill him. It's like a totally different vibe.
Well, at least it's campier. So
exactly. It's
that.
Like, I feel like the book is like much campier and the movie's like darker and sadder, which is not the way to win Sara over for sure, or me. I just like other parts of the movie more. I have like a random like little side quest I want you to go on with me, and this is completely theoretical. In the scene where Buster, he's like put the pieces together, and it's kind of like this really slow burn, right? He is starting to like, he finally figures out that he doesn't think that he escaped out of the car and like died. He can tell that someone pried him out. He still has questions, and he's like read the books, and then he like somehow puts together the pieces that Annie Wilkes is like this big Paul Sheldon fan, and seems like maybe he kind of knows her personality, that she seems a little let's just say like on edge, or a little like he seems to kind of enjoy her and thinks like it's silly, but then he's like, oh, maybe it's a little more sinister. Do you think when he goes to the house and he is like exploring around and, trying to find, like Annie kind of knows why he's there, and, they're both kind of like watching each other, but he's just like, okay, just still going to search around. He was about to leave, right? Before he heard Paul. Do you think he had like, he was like, oh, I was wrong, I don't know about this? Or do you think he was just like biding his time and he was like, I just need to regroup and figure out how to like watch her and figure it out?
He 100% knew. He's just like a really smart guy and a good sheriff, and he knew that like that there was nothing else he could do in that moment. He was either going to come back with backup or observe better. He was going
to do like a stakeout or something.
Exactly. Like he had a plan.
What I thought too.
Yes.
That's what I thought too. Which makes it like all the sadder, because I was like, oh,
I know.
When the characters let their guard down, right? And that is like exactly what happened, because he also probably was beginning to suspect that she was had some darkness, but he may not have expected then that would lead to murder. Like, oh,
yeah,
she'll
like
for
he
sure
had no
kill
idea
me.
she'd like injured him so that he was stuck there and was like definitely holding him, like he just knew something was off. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Ugh. Yeah. That is my least favorite part of the movie by far. But to not dwell on that, if you're okay with moving on,
let's do it.
Let's bring
R.I.P.
up
Buster.
I know. I'm so sorry, Virginia, for your loss. Girl. I know they're not real. Okay, I'll say it again. Everything's fine. I can go to sleep tonight and not be sad about it. With our ongoing obsession with the Scream franchise, we both had thoughts about Annie Wilkes and kind of like the whole motive and vibe behind her as they related to Ghostface motives, but for two different movies, which I think is really interesting. So you said that this was giving you Scream 7 vibes. So hit me with your thoughts on that.
It very much reminded me of Anna Camp's Ghostface, talking about what a difference Sydney's book made in her life and how Sydney screwed up everything for her by essentially moving on, which is what Paul has done by killing Misery, right?
Yeah.
Like he has moved on, and Anna Camp doesn't try to drag Sydney back in so much as she tries to create a new Sydney, but Kathy Bates is trying to drag Paul back in.
Yeah.
Annie. Yeah.
I think that makes a lot of sense. I actually totally can see that. But that in Scream 7, it like doesn't work at all. But I feel like it works in this. Like it's believable.
Oh yeah, in Scream 7 it was absolutely ridiculous.
Right. But in this I'm like, no, that is like how that motive could make sense in a different scenario.
Anna Camp's Ghostface killed her husband and so did Annie, so
that's true. I was thinking about this more broadly and being like, it was giving me Scream 5 vibes for just like the toxic fandom, which is a little less interesting than your explanation. But I was like, oh, this is just kind of like reminding me of that, of like another example of like how we were saying like, oh, I don't know if like toxic fandom, is that really like, will that get people? And I was like, oh, this is a perfect example of like, I don't know that this specific scenario has happened in real life, but you could kind of see a fan kind of escalating to this I'm helping you to the point of like, oh, you did something I really don't like, and it's like triggered me and triggered this part of me that probably would have come out anyway. Like even if she didn't find out that he had killed off her favorite character, I feel like she still wasn't just gonna let him walk out of that house once he was able to.
Oh like, no.
She wasn't calling the ambulance. She wasn't calling his friends and family. That just like accelerated the plot a lot.
Yes.
Oh, the last thing I will say about liking this movie is the Scheherazade vibes of it. This is I don't know if I call it a trope, but a like movie theme that I really like. So this is the like 1001 Nights. Is that what it was called? But like basically the story is she marries the king or something. She's involved with the king and he just keeps killing his wives every day or so to get a new wife, and she figures out a way to survive by telling him a story and kind of like leaving it at a cliffhanger every night, so that then she's like, well, you have to, I'll tell you the rest tomorrow. And so then he just keeps not killing her and she keeps surviving. And I love this concept of like stories somehow being like life-saving and almost being believable, that like our human nature and curiosity and need for a satisfying closure of a story that totally happens in this movie,
good.
right? Where he's like, there also is this really interesting movie that I think I really enjoy, like the psychological kind of movies, and this movie is like a great case study for that. But there's this moment where Paul is writing the book and Annie has pushed him to rewrite. She's like, it was like saying the story wasn't fair. It doesn't make sense. Like, you can do better. I know you're better than this. And he rewrites it. And she is like over the moon. She's like spinning. She's giving him all the details of liking it. And he like genuinely giggles. He's like elated by her feedback. Like he gets caught up in the moment where he's just like, oh my gosh, this is like what the writer wants, right? Of a fan to just be like this obsessed. And it's like really interesting to me. And then she keeps like asking him all these questions and he just keeps being like, you're gonna have to wait. You're gonna have to wait. And he's like keeping her on the hook. And I don't know, I think that was one of the like cat mouse moments I think about, where most of them is just Paul playing with her or trying to manipulate her, and her sometimes falling for it and sometimes not. But this was a moment where I was like, oh my gosh, I think he just got like swept up for a moment and like kind of forgot what was happening, and then like snapped back and was like, oh,
the ego got there. Yeah.
I'm like, I am in survival mode and need to like keep my eyes on the prize here. But
yes,
I don't know. I love this movie. I like it, and you are unsure.
I'm pretty indifferent to it. I'm like pretty sure that I'm pretty indifferent to it, and that's okay. But that's one other point in defense of you, like really like finding yourself wanting to be in Paul's shoes, is that Paul Sheldon, as Annie tells the sheriff, is from Western Massachusetts.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Wait, I don't think I ever heard that. Or like
when he's like, what can you tell me about Paul Sheldon? When he's like at Annie's doorstep and she like rattles off all these facts about his life. She says he's from Western Mass.
After all these watches, this is so funny how your brain just like comes in and out, because like I was watching it, but I still like, there is almost never a chance where I'm like uninterrupted like doing anything in my life these days, especially at my home. That's so funny, because I remember
like,
I know exactly
like,
the
specific like the words Western Mass too, or Western Massachusetts, whatever she said. That's so funny.
I know, so funny. Not Maine, where
not
Stephen King's from.
Western Mass.
Interesting. I love that.
Yeah,
I love that. Okay, well, yes, that is totally why I like it as a writer from here. Oh, from our hometown area. Okay, well, if you want more Stephen King content, we will once again be recording a bonus episode, and we are going to go head to head, because I am team Misery and Sarah is team The Shining, and we're going to try to duke it out, and I feel like I'm going to lose, and this is already an uphill battle, but I'm going to try my best to argue that this movie is cozier than The Shining, so we'll see.
I mean, I think it's going to be hard to argue that either is cozy, although you feel strongly this one is cozy, and I don't feel strongly that The Shining is cozy, but I'm going to come ready.
Actually, maybe I'll just be arguing that both of these movies are kind of cozy, and you'll just be like, get real, this is not
I'm ready to take a side. This is reminding me of like the really messy AP Gov debates we had to partake in with a teacher who had no idea what they were doing.
It was the only day of the year that we didn't watch The West Wing.
It was truly.
It was our debate days.
That was a bad class.
That was rough. But we're also people pleasers, and I hate controversy, so we will see if I wouldn't even say argue with my best friend, but try to pull you to my side. I don't even know.
I'm open to it. I'm ready. I'm ready.
I'm so scared already. Okay, we'll see you there. Bye.
Bye.
It's gonna be fine. Bye.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Haunted Homebodies. Make sure you like and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.
And remember, when in doubt, just stay home.